Back to our sixth session in marriage coaching program. We talked in the first session about introduction and biblical foundation in a sacred marriage. In our second session, we talked about falling in love for all the right reasons. In third session, we talked about expectations, assumptions, and understanding gender differences and different sexual responses. In our fourth session, we talked about understanding the 5 love languages and fighting disaffection in marriage. And in our fifth session, we talked about helping couples managing their finances. Today, in our sixth session, we are going to talk about decision-making, problem-solving, and conflict resolution skills. I can't think of a more critical topic than this one for premarital couples, even for early wed and for married couples for the rest of their lives. Most couples have their first conflict or disagreement within the first 24 hours after they say "I do." I know that for a young couple, that is at the beginning of the relationship, who are excited about falling in love. They don't face this topic so often. But I know also that after marriage, occasionally conflict is going to arise and decisions need to be made. There are 2 people engaged in this process. An interesting story that I heard and I would like to share with you states that it was a dark night as the captain cautiously piloted his warship through a fog-surrounded waters. He was looking deep through the night, searching for any dangers appearing out of sight. His worst fears arose when a bright light appeared suddenly through the mist. He immediately flashed out a warning for the oncoming ship to alter his course 10 degrees to the south. To his amazement, the foggy image didn't move. Instead, it boldly ordered the captain to change his course 10 degrees to the north. The captain again ordered the other ship to change its course 10 degrees south. Second time, the ship again refused and sent another signal to the captain to change his course 10 degrees north. Angered and frightened about a possible collision, the captain desperately flashed out, "Turn 10 degrees south, I am a battleship." The response was chilling, "Turn 10 degrees north, I am a lighthouse." So sometimes we enter into conflicts because we are not seeing it correctly and overreact and don't handle potential conflict or danger or decision-making process as well. The goal is not conflict-free relationship or a conflict-free marriage. It is not avoiding conflicts as much as it is learning what to manage and to do with them. Couples need to fight well so that they can solve their conflicts without hurting or destroying the relationship. I would like to suggest this picture. If you as a couple go to a travel agency, the travel agent will not tell you where to go. He would rather ask you, where do you want to go? Based on your answer, he may tell you other suggestions that you might consider or think of. We can give you a map and a compass, but remember, I can't dictate to you what will you do or how will you do it. I can only suggest to you based on my experience. That is where I am suggesting for you to go. I could work with you on equipping you with some skills and some principles about where you have to go and how to do it on your own. I want to share with you at this point 10 principles or tools that you could use dealing with conflict resolution and decision-making skills. Here is the first one. I will communicate my expectations and not take it for granted that my spouse will automatically understand what I need or want. Sometimes it is not done well when you don't communicate your expectations clearly or not in a healthy way. The message might not be heard, and sometimes we communicate our expectations as demands. Then that could be the beginning and the end of the process. There are so many expectations in a variety of things. All the areas are important and valid, and it is so important not to force your fiancé or your future spouse or your spouse to be a mind reader. It is your responsibility to communicate your expectations without making it a demand and without letting the other person guess or try to figure it out, which could create an unhealthy process. Second, I will verify my assumptions so that I have accurate information and feedback. I like to say that our judgment and the decisions we make are only as accurate and as effective as much as the information that we build our decisions on. You have to make sure that what you are hearing is right and that you are perceiving it correctly, because the interpretation may be off, and this could create lots of unintended problems. 55% of our communication is not based on the verbal communication we use, but on the non-verbal communication, on our body language, on actually the way we look, the way we talk, the tone of our voice, our eyes, not just our words. That is why I'm telling you now, when you interpret a message from your spouse or future spouse, you have to make sure that what you are interpreting is accurate. It makes a lot of sense to check it and not depend on assumptions. Number 3, I will strive toward understanding my spouse's feelings and thoughts on a matter without criticism before attempting to negotiate compromise or make a decision. This is the cornerstone of the whole process. I'm working on understanding what my partner wants on various things without criticizing them and without judging them, and before making any decisions. If we don't follow the first 3 principles, the relationship will not be a win-win relationship. It will be more like a win-lose relationship, which in fact will be a lose-lose relationship. Then the mutual understanding between a couple is when each one of them tells the other person that the other person understands them. This would lower the intensity of the emotions when we feel that we are understood by our spouses. When we don't understand each other, we are not communicating. We are just talking at each other. We need to know that understanding does not mean agreement. When we truly understand each other, the majority of time we overlap. In a successful relationship, when you have 2 people willing to accept to live within the areas that they overlap with each other in, they can achieve happiness without getting 100% of what each one of them wants separately. For a second, I want to demonstrate this to you. I want to show you these 2 pens. If we put them like this represents the husband, this represents the wife. And the husband would feel very happy that he's achieving the best he wants in his life at this point, and the wife would feel that she would achieve the best of what she wants in life, and she would be very happy with her life when she lives in this point, the farthest 2 points from each other. They're not going to be happy with each other. They will always be in conflict. But when they're able to overlap with each other, like these 2 pens overlap, and they're able to compromise with each other so that they don't live at their best, but they live in the area where they are overlapping together, that's when they will be much happier. They will be much happier when they live in the overlap area. Find the overlap and live in it. You will be much happier and your relationship will be much more successful. Number 4, I will focus on resolving the issues and not attempt to make my spouse or our relationship the problem. Whatever we feel and whenever we feel that we are the problem, we get defensive for feeling attacked. Whenever one or both parties feel attacked or being blamed, you're getting off track and no longer focused on the issue. Then with this scenario, the next step would be the relationship is the problem. And that is what separation and divorce is all about. That's why the best advice I would give to any couple, make sure to make the problem is the problem and not the relation is the problem. The 5th point we'll talk about is I'll give myself and my spouse permission to take a time out from discussion when it is requested, as long as we give it a specific time frame. When will we resume problem solving? I call this calm down time. We have to practice the art or the skill of calling a calm down time or a time out. But also it is important to call a time in, so you could bring a closure to the matter, while both of you are having a better attitude. Number 6, I will accept a neutral place and time to discuss problems that are mutually satisfactory and not to give one another any advantage over the other. Anytime we sense that both sides are not balanced, we get into the defensive posture. When we focus on the feeling unfair more than we focus on the issue or the problem at hand, so it's very important to find a neutral place, a neutral time. Avoid the time when you are both tired. It is not the appropriate time. And also avoid the time when it is like right before going to bed, or you are in the car and you have to focus on the road. This is not the right place nor the right time. The 7th point is I will take ownership of and be completely accountable for my feelings, thoughts, attitudes, and behaviors without playing detective or blaming my spouse. I need to focus on changing myself rather than finding the faults in my spouse. That could again create defensiveness and resistance. Blaming the other spouse leads to more problems rather than solving the problem that we have at hand. Number 8, I will be responsive and not reactive. When discussing issues or receiving feedback about my behavior from my spouse, remember a reaction is a knee jerk, and it is powerful and intense. It's like a jerky move, while a response is a little more measurable, calculated, and focusing on the target and what we want to achieve. It is more thought through. Also, we need to recognize the early warning signs in each other to resolve our issues before they escalate. Number 9, I will not attempt to control my spouse with sarcasm, rage, threats, manipulation, shame, jealousy, or even silence, which is a very bad thing. The highest level of marital love is when each person loses control over himself or herself and gives control over himself or herself to his spouse. Number 10, forgiveness. I will actively seek the forgiveness of my spouse when I am aware of my wrongdoing, and I will extend forgiveness when my spouse asks for it. Keeping a laundry list of past hurt could be a wound that could get infected. Forgiveness is so important for a healthy relationship. Give and receive forgiveness and burn the laundry list of past hurt. These are some principles and tools to have a great relationship and a great marriage in Jesus' name. This concludes our 6th session. Until we meet again in our 7th and last session, may God bless you.